How can you figure out the meaning of an unknown word when you are reading a passage? For example, what happens when you come to the word duplicity in the sentence, Jack's duplicity, crafty dishonesty, caused him to steal his co-workers' pensions by funneling their money into an offshore account? In this lesson, you will learn how to figure out the meaning of unfamiliar words when reading a passage by identifying the types of context clues the author uses in his writing. Let's review. Context clues are hints that the author gives the reader to help define a difficult or unusual word. There are 4 kinds of context clues. Definition or example, synonym, antonym, inference. Today you will define the 4 types of context clues and take notes. You will practice defining unknown words in the text. You will identify which type of context clue is being utilized by the writer. There are 4 types of context clues. Knowing these will help you when you need to figure out the meaning of a word. Context clues types. Number 1, definition or example. This should go in your notes. The meaning of an unfamiliar word is restated in the sentence, usually after the unfamiliar word. I will give you a minute to put this in your notes. This is a context clue type number 1, definition or example. The meaning of the unfamiliar word is restated in the sentence, usually after the unfamiliar word. For example, Jack's duplicity, crafty dishonesty, caused him to steal his co-workers' pensions by funneling their money into an offshore account. I want to know what the word duplicity means. Now I can see a hyphen before the word crafty and after the word dishonesty. The author seems to be purposefully setting it on the outside of the sentence. Also, this means that duplicity must mean crafty or dishonest. The author is giving me the definition in the sentence. And it makes sense because someone who takes somebody's money is dishonest. So duplicity is crafty dishonesty. Context clue type number 2, synonyms. Other words used around an unfamiliar word with a similar meaning. I'm going to give you a few seconds to write this in your notes. Context clue type number 2, synonym. Other words are used around the unfamiliar word with similar meanings. example, the willowy man was so thin that his clothes were much too big on him. I want to know what the word willowy means. I can think, I don't know what the word willowy means, but I do know what the word thin means. And if his clothes are too big on him, it means he's skinny. Therefore, willowy must mean skinny or thin. Willowy and thin are synonyms. One word used around an unfamiliar word with a similar meaning. Context clue type number 3. Antonyms. You should be writing this in your notes. Other words are used around the unfamiliar word with a different meaning. Generally, they're going to compare or contrast. And I'm going to give you a few minutes or a few seconds to write this in your notes. For example, whereas Marissa was quite lithe, her sister was clumsy and awkward. I want to know what lithe means. I have no idea what lithe means. Maybe it's pronounced lithe. I'm not sure. But all I want to know is what the meaning is. I can see that the author is contrasting Marissa's behavior to that of her sister's. Marissa is quite lithe, or lithe, and her sister is clumsy and awkward. So if her sister is clumsy and awkward, Marissa must be the opposite, graceful or flexible. So lithe or lithe means graceful and flexible. Context clues types number 4, inferences. Words that mean something not directly describes, but it needs to be inferred or guessed or predicted from the text. You should be writing this in your notes. For example, Walter's pugnacious behavior made his opponent back down. I want to know what pugnacious means. It's unfamiliar to me, but it's used to describe the word behavior. It's an adjective to describe behavior. So pugnacious must have something to do with behavior. And if his opponent backed down, pugnacious means that he must have been aggressive or confrontational. There are 4 types of context clues. Knowing these will help you when you need to figure out the meaning of a word. Now that you know the types of context clues, you are ready to begin looking at passages to gather clues about definitions and the types of context clues used in text. Take out the passage with the star on it for this lesson. You will be writing along with me. The first selection is most reality TV shows center on 2 common motivators, fame and money. The shows transform waitresses, hairdressers, investment bankers, counselors, and teachers, to name a few, from obscure figures to household names. I want to know what obscure means. This looks like the author is comparing obscure figures to household names. And I know household names are names of people that are famous or people know their names, like Bill Gates. Therefore, obscure must be the opposite of a well-known name. Obscure is not well-known. What I learned from the context clues. Obscure means not well-known. The author uses antonyms in the context to tell the reader the meaning. Let's go on to the next section of this passage. A lucky few successfully parlay their 15 minutes of fame into celebrity. Even if you are not interested in fame, you can probably understand the desire for lots of money. Watching people eat large insects, reveal their innermost thoughts to millions of viewers, and allow themselves to be filmed 24 hours a day for huge financial reward make for interesting entertainment. I want to know what parlay means. Well, it states only a few people can parlay their 15 minutes of fame into celebrity. And if only a few people can do this, parlay must mean to move something. So I can use what I know and infer that these people moved from being obscure to being a celebrity. What have I learned? Well, I learned that parlay means to move. The author uses inference in his context clues. I use what I know to predict what the meaning is. Finally, the last selection in the passage. Whatever their attraction, these shows are among the most popular on television, and every season they proliferate like weeds in an unintended garden. The networks are quickly replacing more traditional dramas and comedies with reality TV programs, which earn millions in advertising revenue. Whether you love it or hate it, one thing is for sure, reality TV is here to stay. I want to know what proliferate means. They proliferate like weeds in an unintended garden. I know weeds just keep growing and growing, and if the garden is not tended to, it will get out of control. Therefore, proliferate means to grow out of control. The reality shows are growing out of control. What did I learn? Proliferate means to grow out of control. The author used the example of weeds in a garden growing in the context clue. So today you defined the 4 types of context clues and took notes. You will practice defining more unknown words in text and identifying which type of context clue is being utilized by the writer. In this lesson, you have figured out the meaning of unknown words by identifying the types of context clues the author uses in his writing. Now you may get to working on your independent work, and I hope that you understood what context clues are.